just like with a table with plastic soldiers on it, pushed around with a big stick.
Exactly. Yeah. So, well, I think that's the Sunderland game dealt with. Let's. What went wrong? What went wrong at Sunderland?
It's again. It's I think in Prozone it's called playing absolutely shit.
Yes, yeah.
And it was the absolute proverbial bad day at the office. I watched it on a friend of mine watched it on an online stream. I wouldn't because it's illegal.
I watched it on an online stream, but I went straight to the police station and handed myself in.
Good for you. Actually, when I was not watching as well, this is mad. I was apparently I was 1 millionth viewer.
Wow!
Yeah, on the site.
Congratulations!
Did you have the opportunity to meet an Eastern European woman who likes to meet Western men?
Yeah, a couple actually. It's really weird. It's amazing the things that can happen when you're watching West Ham online. And so I was the 1 millionth viewer. I'm now technically married.
Yeah.
I think there was a brilliant bit in the second half. I think there was buffering 49%.
Oh, yeah.
It's really, really like one of the highlights of the game.
That's what's often happening with Kevin Nolan. He's actually loading. He appears not to be doing anything, but he's loading.
Yeah, he's got that beach ball slowly rotating in front of his face while you wait for him to do it.
It was we were shit. It was really, really bad. I mean, for Sunderland, who were not a brilliant team to utterly outplay, they should have beaten us 4-5.
Yeah.
One of the sort of minor tragedies in a game of sort of outright tragedy was that the second goal was pretty much solely the fault of young Danny Potts, which is sad because it was talked about and he was gutted. He did this quite sort of visceral hand thumping on the turf at Sami Kafour in 1999, and you just felt really sorry for him because he obviously cares, but this is what happens when you're thrown in the deep end. You're going to fuck up every now and then.
Yeah.
So
well, look at Rio. That's what I'd say. Rio made a plethora of mistakes for his first sort of year at West Ham.
A plethora of rickets.
All over the place.
The title for his autobiography.
That's a death metal band from Germany.
Plethora of rickets.
Plethora of rickets, ladies and gentlemen, please come on stage. A plethora of rickets.
Sort of good name.
He went on to be one of the best defenders in the world. So Danny Potts should think about that.
And also, they're going to notice sooner rather than later that Danny Potts, I think, is still only 8 years old.
Yes.
But I'm almost certain he's got no facial hair. I haven't heard him speak. We can only assume that his voice hasn't broken.
He doesn't even have pubes.
Yeah, I'm
We're
almost
expecting him to turn out in a stadium of light and put in a shift at left back.
I bet he's not even snubbed a girl.
No.
One thing we sort of noticed about Sam Allardyce last season, and I think it's like that this season. It's something that's actually good about him is that there's quite often not two bad performances in a row. You know, whatever sort of goes wrong is sort of fixed for the next game. But I think there's another side to that coin. In that, part of me thinks that a lot of his policy is. If a team does well, just pick the same blokes again and get them to go out and do the same, even though the opposition's different, the setup's different, the kind of, I think he plays very similarly home to away. And last season, I don't think we played many teams, if not more than sort of two teams with any sort of attacking threat at all. I thought Cardiff, Kenny Miller was sort of dangerous, maybe one or two other teams, but so what we did away from home was sort of press them, which they sort of weren't expecting. They're also pressing because they're at home, and we sort of got behind them. That sort of doesn't work if they score a goal. Sam's big thing is if you don't concede, that's a point already. And you go, but this is the Premier League, you just will.
He did make a good point though. I mentioned, maybe he was probably shitting on my point. He said, the thing is, our strikers are not doing enough, especially away from home. And that puts more pressure on the defence because it means that, if we concede a goal, we're probably going to lose. And that's true. And actually, what I think about Sam Allardyce is that I think he doesn't really make many mistakes, but he is managing West Ham, a mid-table team at best, and the playing squad reflects that. And that is why he's constantly looking to. I think I talked about the podcast last week. He looks to constantly, turn over the playing squad because he looks at a game like that and he probably approaching with exactly the right tactics. We know that he is very thorough. You never get the impression that we're kind of not prepared properly for a game. I mean, he's almost he's got a reputation for being the most thorough manager in terms of preparation of any in the Premier League. You know, we would have gone out there with the right idea, knowing everything we needed about something. But sometimes the players just don't perform.
They're just not good enough.
You know, I saw Diarra. He didn't play very well. We were forced to play Danny Potts, who's got potential to be a good player, but obviously wasn't quite up to it that day. You know, Carlton Cole, who I'm a fan of in the sense that I think he's been great servant to the club and puts great shift in, is not enough of a threat up front. And Allardyce will look at that and think, well, I got it right. Well, he'll definitely think this because he's obviously got the courage of his convictions. He think, I got it right, the players didn't. So, we've gone out, we've signed 2 strikers already in the transfer window. Rumour has it that we're still retaining interest in Nicholas Anelka. Carlton Cole, rumour has it, has been told he can find another club because he's identified a problem. He's gone to the chairman. He's gone, we can be good, but these players aren't performing.
It's iteration, isn't it? And that is encouraging. That he is bloody minded enough and also brutal enough, I think, to make those decisions. A lot more sort of like romantic managers might say, yeah, but Albert Carlton's been a really good servant. Whereas Allardyce, I think, will say, well, actually, he's just not good enough. And just quickly, another thing about Sam Allardyce is that I think that he's best when he's got something to prove, when he's being almost responsive to a problem.
Yeah.
So, and the reason that we've been quite inconsistent in the last few weeks, I think, is that he's not brilliant when we're doing well. So, for example, there were 2 games in a row where we were leading at half time. There was we were leading. It was against Everton and against Liverpool. And during a half-time team talk, you imagine that Sam Allardyce is brilliant when you're 1-0 down. He's telling you all to fucking sort it out. When you're 1-0 up, when you're 1-0 up, I'm not quite sure he's in his element. And sort of according to that, my brother-in-law was at the Reading game and he met a few of the players after the game and he said that Kevin Nolan looked like he just wanted to headbutt a wall. He was just absolutely furious, and he's obviously been given, the whole team's been given a bollocking. And then the game after that was the United game when actually we played really, really well.
Yeah.
After the United game when we've done really well, you kind of think, well, Sam probably didn't have the fire in his belly that week because he was praising the players, and then we were going to play shit against Sunderland. So there is that slight problem there, which is he's excellent in a crisis, but not brilliant when you actually need to gain a bit of momentum.
But I wonder with his how he sets up in a game, which is to kind of neutralise the other team, whether he sets up in a way that gives us enough of a kind of attacking threat. The 4-5-1 is a very sort of voguish team formation that Sam will have sort of said, 96% of European teams now play in this sort of formation. But I think they have players that are suited to playing that kind of formation. Our players look slightly fish out of waterish playing that sort of formation. Carlton, when he's a hold-up man, essentially has to play with his back to goal and have it come into his chest or feet, hold it up. Well, that's not really someone who's going to score. And then our midfielders don't seem to, get past him enough and do this. I mean, I was really struck. I think I might have mentioned this last week with Jarvis, the Everton game. The amount that Stephen Pienaar saw of the ball compared to Jarvis, who was kind of camped out in their last third, and it felt like he'd been told to kind of stay up, at that end of the pitch because that's where their goal is. And, you've got to be near their goal to score the goal. Pienaar comes back and Pienaar would come back and get the ball from a rollout from the goalkeeper. Jarvis was just camped out miles from our half of the pitch and just didn't see enough of the ball. And whenever he's on the ball, he looks really good, Jarvis, but he just doesn't see enough of it. But Bastille looks for the ball. When Bastille came on against Sunderland the weekend, he immediately saw more of the ball than probably Cole or Jarvis or anyone.
That is true, but I think that also comes back to Sam's point, which is just a bit of a personnel problem. Stephen Pienaar is a wonderful player. Jarvis is an alright player. And I think ultimately, when you're someone of the ability of Stephen Pienaar, you can do that because you're going to pick the ball up, just outside the box, and you're good enough to take around a player to make the right decision. Jarvis, I'm not so sure. I think it does kind of come back to the fact that West Ham, for a lot of this season, are slightly punching above their weight, and every now and then you're just going to get found out, like we were on, on Saturday.
Yeah, because exactly, we just, Allardyce is doing his best, I think, as well. He's not resting on his laurels. I mean, no one expected us to have such a good first half of the season. But he's still, the fact that he's so active in the January transfer window, it shows that he wants to push us on. Because I think with the existing squad, we would have enough to stay up.
I would think so too.
You know, and yet he's not satisfied with that. You can tell he doesn't like the fact that we're losing these games away from home to small teams like Reading. I mean, it's ridiculous. We've lost to Reading. We got beaten by Reading. We got thrashed by Wigan. You know, he's pushing the owners to keep improving and turning over the players, because he needs to just keep exactly like you talked about last week. I totally agreed with that. You know, he'll bring players in and they might perform for 6 or 7 games or half a season very well and then go off the ball, and then he'll move them on. And that's really what separates brilliant players from decent players. Is that technically all these players are much for muchness. They're all brilliant. They're all Premier League players. The ones that the difference between let's say a Frank Lampard hasn't got more technical ability than probably any midfielder we have in our squad, but Frank Lampard is just someone who is driven and motivated and professional enough to kind of just turn in performances week in, week out in every single game, whether they're playing a little team like Wigan or they're playing Barcelona in the Champions League. It's attitude, and Allardyce understands that, and a lot of these players who go for big money are the ones who are just renowned as being like players with amazing attitude, who take their technical ability and just elevate it to something else.
And talking of that kind of player, the game on Saturday could have been arranged solely by Mark Noble's PR team, because it showed just how important he is for us. Because I do honestly think that our team would have been dramatically improved with Mark Noble. And Diarra, I mean, Diarra looks like a great player to have when you're defending a lead. He doesn't look like a player that you're trying to equalise.
I sort of thought the team formation, which came out of necessity for the Manchester United game, and basically has the same bunch of players out on the pitch again. And I thought Collison and Diarra was not, they sort of overperformed against Manchester United, because they're both coming back from fairly long-term injury. And I would have actually put O'Neill in that side of the game, but I mean,
the problem with Collison since he's come back from injury is that when he's got time to think about it, he can be an aggressive midfielder. When he's acting on instinct, he pulls out challenges, and it's one of these things that happens when you fucking hit like he did, and you come back basically scared. And I don't know if that will ever come back with Collison, because as a midfielder in the Premier League, your instinct needs to be very sharp, and that's in the tackle and in the pass. And I've got a feeling that he might have lost that, unfortunately.
Whereas O'Neill, who gets quite sort of aligned on the Facebook group and in the forums I read and stuff, Collison, O'Neill, had his ankle kind of but just plows into challenges. It's like he's forgotten.
That's very true.
He really, he had they were saying he'll never play again, weren't they? Rio Coker, wasn't it? Destroyed. Was it Rio Coker?
Playing for who? For West Ham?
For Villa against Arsenal.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I remember.
End of the Avram season, wasn't it? I think he ripped his ankle, and still works. It's that kind of tempo and work rate that I think Collison and Diarra couldn't match. We were really just not in the midfield fight against him.
I feel bad saying it, because he's a sort of you can't really ever speak ill of the lads who've come through the youth academy and everything, but I just don't think Collison has got it, really.
I've got to say, I think I might agree with you. He occasionally shows flashes of brilliance, because I think that technically he has got a lot, but there's something about him that I agree just says that there's nothing that's convincing.
He's been around for a while, let's remember as well. He came through at the same time. It was him, Tompkins and Freddie Sears and what's his name, the one who went off to Burnley, Stanislasson, who's the other guy? Someone. So they all kind of came through around the same time, but I always think it was him, Sears and Tompkins came through under Zola, I think. And I just think, Tompkins has progressed. Sears showed early promise, and then whoever it was, I can't remember, just identified him as not quite having it and moved him on. Collison has been around for a while now. I know he had that long-term injury, he's come back, but no, I just don't think he's ever going to dominate a game.
No,
I think he belongs at a lower level.
Our best young player, interestingly, is someone we've actually brought in, and actually something I wanted to raise on the podcast, is that I'm increasingly falling deeply in love with Winston Reid. He is, but also I think we also need to make a bit of an agreement as West Ham fans. We all do, which is almost a kind of